That is the FLIR ONE Pro that I'll put on charge now and hope doesn't burst into flames. If this video ends unexpectedly, you know why. Alrighty folks, I've got a fresh cup of red and a couple of things to look at. So today's going to be a little bit different. We're not doing SBCs, we're doing something that's very handy to use with an SBC. That is a mobile thermal camera and an affordable one. It started because I bought this FLIR ONE Pro LT for a stupid amount of money in 2023 when I was heading up north with family. And long story short, I was chasing a car into a river and I thought, you know, on my phone, I know my phone can go underwater, so I thought I'd put the FLIR One underwater as well to see if I could see the car underwater. That would be really cool. Didn't see anything because it died straight away. I have just repaired it recently. I gave it a good clean up and I had to put a new battery in it, and it works, but it definitely has, well, I snapped the screws. It definitely has some issues. So then after that, I bought this Topdon. I don't know where I put the case, sorry, but this TC001 is what you've been seeing in quite a few of my videos. It's been my go-to, and it's fairly solid. Not without its issues, of course, same as FLIR, pricing, FLIR. And recently, Thermal Master reached out and they said, hey, we make the smallest thermal camera you've ever seen. Do you want to give it a crack? And I thought, why not? I use them all the time. Other people can use them all the time. I'm going to show you why I use them all the time. And I might as well put them side by side as a few others suggested. So I'm going to have a mouthful of this. I'm going to probably cut to a black screen because I don't have an intro, and then we'll get into these. Hold please. So first up, why the hell would you use one of those? Well, they're a lot of fun. You can compare the color of your hands to your partner's hands to see who's got the cold heart and the cold blood. You can look at stuff in your walling in your house, so you can easily see where all the beams are between the walls. You see if there's a crack in the wall or the brickwork, you're going to see heat getting through. If you've got a tire puncture, it can help with that. If you're doing any welding and stuff like that, you can see if there might be any cracks or issues with it. For me though, this is essentially an SBC channel. I'm a technology guy. I do weld, I do put holes in my house, and I do blame my missus for stuff or for having a cold heart, but I want to see the SBC. I want to see this SoC and what it's doing, because you'll get something like this, which is the Beagly AI, and you'll be running it and you won't really be sure if you need any active cooling. It doesn't have any, doesn't even come with any, doesn't have any holes for a fan. Cases sometimes comes with fans. So what I do is I just stick the thermal camera on it, as you've probably seen in some videos. Have a look at how hot it's getting. If it's getting close to 60 degrees, you probably want to cool that son bitch down. If it's less than 60 degrees, Celsius that is, not freedom units, whatever the conversion rate is, it should be fine. So that is a very, very good use case for that. The second use case is when you're actually developing products. So if I can unloose the box I just put down, there we go. I've been working on DeepSleepr, as you know, and the new one is coming soon, but this sits in line with USB-C, as you can see. So you've got power going in there. If I actually have the case lined up right, you got power coming out there, and then you're going to run an SBC off it. That's the idea of DeepSleepr. But this tiny little circuit is pushing a lot of current. You know, these can draw up to 3 amps or so, depending on the USB spec. And I designed this circuit myself, and I was not confident in its ability to actually withstand, you know, the load I was putting up to it. Even though I thought I got the spec right in design and used a whole pile of different resources, I still stuck a thermal camera over it with my phone and went, whew, that looks like it's about to burst into flames. So the new version that's being built now by PCBWay, not an ad read, they didn't sponsor this, has different copper traces. It's got more pores, it's got thicker traces, it's got shorter tracks to help overcome that. So there is a lot of uses for these in any industry, whether you're a software developer, an embedded developer, an SBC tinkerer doing home maintenance, an electrician, a mechanic working on a car. You've probably got a need for these. If worst case you're a pisshead and you just want to see if your drink's cold enough to drink, you can use it for that too. But I'd encourage you, kids staying in school, to just try one out. Get a cheapie and see how fun it is, then get a better one. Now, let's actually get into how good these things are and why I use them, because I haven't tried the world's smallest thermal camera yet. And I'm very, very curious, because it could be extremely handy. It only weighs like 9 grams and the resolution's quite good and the price is extremely good. So I'm dubious, but they're confident enough to send it to a YouTuber who's got at least 6 viewers to see what it does. We'll start from the top though. We'll start from the name brand. So you want a thermal camera, you've heard of FLIR, you know they're the duck's nuts as far as the professional tools go, and you can see they make one for home use. It comes in a nice looking box, it boasts some what you think is good looking specs, and you've heard of them before. So you splash out what looks like $431 US. Yeah, about 600 and something Australian, and you get one of these. Inside that, you've got another box because it's like a goddamn babushka doll. And inside that, you got some more stuff, and eventually you've got a not half bad little case, a good little travel case. You tuck a USB-C cable in there, and typically your camera will be there. Now, straight up looking at these, it does have this little slide adjust, which means it fits when you've got a hefty case. So good for tradies that might have, a thick bumper case or something like that. It's got a USB-C port on the bottom too, which is interesting if you haven't really played with them before. And it's rubberized with a little button there. So not a bad design, but it's going to cost you $431 US. And then once you've done some research, or if you do some research, you'll notice it's only a resolution of 160 by 120 and only at a refresh rate of 8.7 Hertz or 8.7 FPS, which I find quite lackluster. Lastly, I couldn't find a bloody app to use it with my computer, so I don't always want to bust out my phone and be dealing with, using my phone, especially if I want to record two angles. I might want more detail than this stupid tiny screen can give me, so I want to plug it into the computer, and I could not figure out how to do this. When you do read, you'll find this is a battery port. So the one interesting thing is this does have a built-in battery. And don't get me wrong, you can plug it into the computer, but that's to transfer images. I haven't found any software for the live view. So you can charge the battery. It lasts about an hour. I think that's really strange because you've got to plug it in your phone, you use it anyway. Why does it need its own battery? Why is it bigger and heavier when your phone's got a perfectly good battery built in and your phone's doing the recording from what I understand, so you unplug this, it's not going to be recording anyway. That would probably save you about $100 in spec. So 1 hour batteries, 160 by 120 resolution at 8 and a bit FPS, and it goes from -120 up, -20, sorry, up to 120 Celsius. And then in the second mode, it'll do from 0 Celsius up to 400 Celsius. That's with plus or minus 3 to 5 degrees. I didn't know why they had that range there, but we'll just say we'll err on the side of caution. That's plus or minus 3 degrees, 60 seconds after start within their specification. So it's good that they've got that specifications, but that seemed overly specific. What we will have a quick look at now is, hopefully I don't get any dodgy messages on my phone. I'll plug it in and you get a quick look at if it wants to work this time, if it's not a lithium battery fire. Let's see. Oh yeah, if anyone could just read my phone, then I've got a sleep study tonight, so I am rushing a little bit. I'm really, really good at insomnia. So they're going to try to figure out why. So that has been plugged in. I think, oh no, there we go. So, all right, you can see there is a big smudge here. I've got something on the camera, but you can see, oh, there we go. That was my hand in the way of the camera. So, wow, this is actually working. So you can see that little crackhead cursor is going everywhere, but my arm's about 39 degrees, 34 to 37 degrees, and you could see it change mode then. So that's pretty cool. Battery's at 1% though, as it says up there, so we'll have to plug this thing in. Ooh, that's the imprint left by my hand after I took it away. As you can see, it's not there. That is kind of cool. That's what I mean, these things are fun. But all in all, that's all it does. It shows you the thermal properties, and all of them have that overlay built in, some better, some worse. That is the FLIR ONE Pro that I'll put on charge now and hope doesn't burst into flames. If this video ends unexpectedly, you know why. So after that first one, did a bit of research and landed on this bad boy. Now, FLIR are rocking the brand name, maybe not the spec, and a nice box. Topdon are rocking the search engine optimization. Now, I did have a box for this. It looks very, very similar to these. And it comes with much the same thing. You've got a USB-C cable, a washcloth carry case, and it's glued in insert, and this little camera. It only has a single sensor, which is interesting, or what looks like a single sensor. And they make a couple of different models, but this one sets you back $349 US. So it's about $100 cheaper US, which is pretty good. And you can see it's built a little bit differently. It's plastic on the sides, it's metal along the top, and it doesn't have that USB-C adjustable fandangle thing, but it is cheaper, but doesn't fit with my case. So I'd have to take the case off. That being said, this does feel like aluminium, which is pretty good. And when you get into the specs of this thing, the TC001 is 256 by 192 resolution. That's a bucket load more thermal pixels at 25 FPS. Now, I'm not sure. I do have questions, especially the cheapness. The FLIR was 8.7 FPS. This says 25. It might be recording at 25, but only updating the thermal data a bit less. I'm not really sure, but I've never noticed a problem with it. Now, also, this doesn't have a battery, but it does say 6 hours battery. What it's saying there is with the phone, I think it was a Galaxy S23 that they use. You can use this for 6 hours before your phone battery is flat. Again, I don't know why there's a battery in that. This doesn't need it. Fair enough. What's cool though is that this will do -20 up to 600 Celsius. So it goes a little bit hotter in its detection range than the FLIR. That being said, it has bothered me a few times. It's always got auto shutter on and it tries to negotiate between the two. You have to turn it off every time you launch the app. And it does say ±2 Celsius. So that's pretty bloody good in my book. I'm just going to take my phone case off, show you what this one, whoop, off shoots my license, probably between the cracks. So if we plug this in, the app launches straight away. Looks pretty good there. It's got a few little features built in, which is pretty sweet too. It can even do a few different methods of thermal imaging, like you can do long range exposure. So you got take photo, you've got all your little tools there. There we go, she just calibrated. Your lightness settings, your color scales, your features, you can have it go alarm if it goes over a certain spec. And then lastly, you've got this temperature range. So we can set it to go from 150 up to 550. It's not going to do well here because it's not that hot. If you can hear that little clicking, that's the automatic shutter. So if any of you are wondering why the hell this thing's busted and keeps doing that, you just have to go back to the photo and turn that off. It drives me mental. But you can see it's looking pretty good and it's reading nearly the same. You can see, I think there already, that there's actually more detail in the thermal. So you can see more thermal variation in my hand. That's the higher resolution and what appears to be slightly better accuracy. You've of course got then that cool trick. That being said, the FLIR did drink a large amount of the Darwin River water. This one hasn't yet. So this one I'm pretty happy with. It's been my go-to for the same reason. Now I will say, if you run into the same issue as me and you're testing out shiny things, like say I want to see how hot this USB-C port, this USB type A port's getting, it's shiny, which means it's going to be reflecting a lot of infrared light. One of the easiest or best things you can do is just get some black tape, which I don't have any here now, really thin black tape, and put it over that. As an intermediary, if you're not worried about the conductivity for now, you can color it in with a permanent marker. You just don't want it reflecting. That's then going to show you the temperature of the object without reflecting the temperature of the environment around it, which is that infrared radiation. So handy pro tip there for you. Topdon, solid unit, one little irritation, good specs, affordable. Thank you, Topdon. We're now moving on to the world's smallest thermal camera. This is the P2 Pro, comes with a macro lens by Thermal Master. Now, I believe there are more than one Thermal Master brand out there, so don't be confused by it. But everything I've read so far has been pretty good, including that sick looking logo on the front, which is a little eye, as best I can tell. It arrived quickly. They shipped it straight to me from their online store. It appears to have all the certifications. It's got a QR code for WhatsApp tech support, which is pretty cool. The rep that reached out to me, very friendly. I was completely real with them about, you're not going to get a chance to review this video. I'm going to show people what this does from an end user perspective. So this is kind of an unboxing and a review of this thing, but we're also doing this non-SBC showdown, the thermal camera showdown, because again, they're just that handy. Very nice box, very good wrapper. There's another box around this, of course. It didn't just rock up like that. In here we have, holy hell, that is tiny. We have a nice little product manual here. That is a stack of a guide. Quite impressive there. Dear user, thank you for purchasing and selecting Thermal Master as your trusted companion to explore the world in thermal imaging. This is really good English, by the way. Leading in phone thermal cameras, we specialize in the most innovative thermal imaging technologies. We not only offer advanced thermal vision capabilities, but also strive to bring infrared technology into every home, exploring a better future for the world. That's cool. There's more there if you want to have a read. There-ish you go. Impressed with the English, considering, you know, these things I'm pretty certain are all made. That'll be China, I'm certain of it. I just can't be asked Googling these things. So We've got some nice padding there. This looks like it's going to be our USB-C cable. I forgot to say, actually, TC001 has a Windows app. You can plug it into your computer and use it, which is neat. This looks like it's going to be doing the same thing. Oh, nope, the cable's just got a funny connector. I thought, I mean, yeah, it could. It could do the same thing. And then we've got this miniature 6-gram thermal camera. Big ass lens on it. We'll peel that off. Wow, that is a hell of a lens. Aluminium, standard height USB-C, little bumper there, if you can see that. So it's probably not going to plug in. That is stupid small though. I could probably swallow that. It would suck, but I could do it. And then we have this macro lens here with a little cap on it. That's really cool. That's an out of the back box accessory that magnetically just snaps on. Innovative. Tiny, light, macro. I'm very curious. So looking at the specs for this one, I don't know if I'm going to stick any on the screen or not, so here's some colourful shit to look at. Android, and it says there's a Windows app. I can see a Windows app there to download. $359 US online, so $10 more than the Thermal Master, than the TC001. Same specs in the image though, so 256 by 192 at 25 Hz or 25 FPS. No battery either. And it says it does -20 up to 550C. So it's better than the FLIR and a little bit less than the... Oh my God, I got them all wrong. I screwed it all up. Sorry. I read my notes wrong. The Topdon TC001, $359 USD online, 25 Hz, no battery, -20 to 550C, and it's ±2 Celsius. I got that wrong. I'll cut in this bit, or I'll put some notes over the screen there. This one, $10 less. So this is $349 USD. Same resolution and frequency, and this is the one that says 6-hour battery life if it's plugged in to the camera. Of course, it has no battery itself. And then it's -20 to 600C. So this is the smallest, the lightest, the cheapest, with the biggest range, and it's ±2 degrees Celsius, the same as the Topdon. So if it actually works as well as the Topdon, then we quite clearly have a new winner. What it does not appear to come with though is a travel case, which is very problematic because this will get smashed up in your bag. They might have one available online though. So let's have a look at what this could do. Side by side, you can definitely see the difference in their sizing. Now, first off, we have the FLIR. FLIR, you are failing across the board, buddy. You have some good technology. You've got both lenses in there. You've got a rubberized case. You've got the little adjusty dingleberry there. However, you are more expensive. You have a lower FPS. You have a lower resolution. You have a smaller thermal range. You've got wider variation, and you're no good at drinking seawater. So I'm not a fan of FLIR after this, especially after finding these alternatives 2/3 the price, almost twice the spec. TC view. Your app could do with a little bit of work. Your neck on USB-C is nearly long enough. You both come with a case, which is really good. You have an unnecessary battery for some stupid reason. You forego that. Got a nice metal and rubber case, and you're very affordable. Your specs are very good. You also work with Windows. FLIR, failing again. And then lastly, we have this Thermal Master. Now, Thermal Master, you're doing some cool stuff. So again, you don't put a battery in there, which is great. You don't have a second lens for the camera, which is fine, but you also don't leverage the phone lens fully, which I feel like is a little bit of a failing. You have the shortest USB-C port, but you are the most affordable, and you do have the best specs. You got the widest temperature range for the best price with the same resolution of this. You're lacking the carry case. That's about it. So, look, it's really hard to compare. This one wins in size, but with that overlay not being there or in the same manner or having a carry case, it loses out. This one is what I'll take with me and use everywhere. This one, maybe on a, see, even on a plane, just for its size and lightness, you're lacking out with a carry case. It's probably going to get damaged. I think I'll stick to the Topdon. I'm very happy with this. It does have its little bugs, but you do get used to it. It does work with Android and Windows. The FLIR will always be a backup and a comparison. And this Thermal Master, I think, will also be a backup. This will be if I need to compare to a name brand. But I really do think this had the best image quality. This was overall the cheapest, lightest, largest range, and smallest. So Thermal Master are absolutely excelling at that. Just improve your app a little bit and add a case, and you'd honestly be killing it. So that's all from me. I'd love your thoughts if you have any tests. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get some shots of my workshop full of shit with each of these, so you can kind of compare the about, what's that, maybe a 5 meter distance. And I'll plug in that DeepSleepr and suck some power through it using this handy little thing so you can see what it does. I'll demonstrate that with the TC View. Hope you're all doing well. Enjoy your weekend. There we go, because just the AT Tiny that's glowing a bit. Now as we start to crank this up, about 0.5 amp there. Now at the top right, you're starting to see a bit of colour there. 0.75 amps. 1 amp, and we've had a fair bit of temperature roll off. You see that's at 42 degrees now. That is this tiny MOSFET there getting hot. We're losing a lot of our voltage here. That MOSFET's getting, is that BJT? I can't remember. So that's at 50 degrees now. I'm nearly drawing 2 amps. That is getting toasty. So you can see I've got a bit of a thermal management issue on this one. It's dropped to 4 volts. So I took this into account when I was redesigning this product, because that is not performing how I want it to perform. That is not good. Here is a bit of video footage of the workshop. The sun is obviously in that direction. That's a corrugated tin wall. That one's got some boards over it. There's my fridge, bin, fan, and it is cooler outside at the moment. Excellent. So this is a TC001 from Topdon. Alright, so this is the Thermal Master. It's got auto shutter still on somehow. I don't know how to turn it off. And you can see we are getting that wider thermal range. Because it has that slightly bigger thermal range, we're actually getting more thermal detail, which I'm quite impressed with. We can see those 3 individual panels of wood at the back there. See the temperature ranges really detailed. But it feels like the image enhancement or the resolution is not quite there. So I feel like the resolution all in all of the Topdon is better, but this is actually giving me more useful detail, which may be hard to see, but I definitely feel it. And we have that good refresh rate there too. So I think I like, oh, except for that shutter that I can't find to turn off, I like this one's sensor quite a bit. I think the software to, kind of scale that up, it's looking a bit pixelated, maybe blur it just slightly, do a soft scaling, and I don't know, add some AI or something to it. Definitely good. Definitely both will get used after seeing this, I think. That is quite excellent. Thank you for sending me this Thermal Master. Alright, and here is the FLIR ONE Pro, albeit a bit later. It didn't record earlier for some reason, so I've just had to shoot back and fix it. That is the hybrid overlay where it's doing the edge detection. You can see the slight fault with the sensor. I'll just turn off the... There we go, that's pure infrared, very similar to the others. You can definitely see the damage that I've done here, but you can also just see the resolution really isn't there. Come on, FLIR, you should be doing better.